Our next presenter is Stephen Lewis. Stephen Lewis is a research leadership chair and professor in the Department of Psychology at the University of Guelph. His research program centers on people's lived experience of non-suicidal self-injury and related mental health difficulties. An internationally renowned researcher and advocate, he challenges dominant theoretical and clinical paradigms with a resulting impact reaching far beyond academia to shape social media policy, create practical training, and empower individuals to work towards recovery. Welcome, Stephen.
Thank you very much. What I want to share with you today is a brief overview of my research program, and in so doing to highlight how I see lived experience research as having a lot of potential for a great deal of impact, both in my field and now as we're looking broader beyond that. 1 in 5. Up to 1 in 5 people worldwide, especially in adolescence and young adulthood, report engaging in non-suicidal self-injury. We can define that as the purposeful damage of one's own body tissue, say through cutting or burning, but for reasons that are not lethal. It's non-suicidal. What do we know about this? It associates with an array of mental health adversities and forms of mental illness, and because of its association with psychological distress, it's most often used to cope. People self-injure to get temporary relief from intense and overwhelming emotional pain. So we're talking about something here that is very serious, and as you can see, very common. And although by definition it's distinct from suicide, a robust corpus of research indicates that in fact it's the most reliable predictor of later suicidal thinking and behavior. And as such, a key part of suicide prevention is actually addressing self-injury and supporting people who engage in it. My research in my field is a bit unique. Many people in my field use quantitative methods. I'm one of the few people who use primarily qualitative methods. A large part of my work involves people with lived experience. It's participatory in nature. And at the heart of the work that we do is the emphasis on lived experience, giving voice to their concerns and what matters most to them. And that's important. It's important when we consider stigma. We did a cross-national study a couple of years ago, and what we found is that the stigma attached to self-injury is greater than that attached to mental illness. And stigma serves as a barrier to people getting support, reaching out, and getting the help they need. And we consider the risks associated with this behavior. That's very worrisome. So what do I do research-wise? My research has 4 main streams, which in many ways are interrelated. One of the first things we were doing was we were looking at the aspect of online activity. What do people post online about their behavior and their experiences? Why do they do it, and what impact does that have? What our results have indicated is that it's a double-edged sword. There's both potential benefits and potential risks. Through this research, we've been consulted by Facebook, YouTube, and other major platforms to inform their social media policy to keep people safe when sharing these experiences online. Because this is off the radar of many clinicians, i.e. the impact of online activity on well-being, we developed clinical guidelines to facilitate their work. Knowing that people need resources, want help, and need a place where they can go to seek support, we developed self-injury outreach and support. This is our nonprofit online initiative. SIOS, Self-Injury Outreach and Support, offers individuals a place where they can go and see other people's stories of hope and recovery. They can share their own. They can access research-informed coping strategies to facilitate their own recovery. And we also have information for key support people, families, friends, partners, health professionals, mental health professionals, and schools. To date, our website's been accessed in over 180 countries worldwide. Because we're looking at how people communicate and talk about their experiences, this led to research on disclosure and how people respond to people who disclose self-injury. Given stigma, not always so well. A lot of research has focused here on schools and universities. Why? Because of the high rates of the behavior among students in adolescence and young adulthood. This has led to the development of policies, protocols, and position papers to help guide how students are supported in educational contexts. We've also do a lot of training as well with educators and other mental health professionals who work in educational settings. And in so doing, we've developed assessment guidelines as well for psychologists and medical professionals as well. A lot of work we do is also focused on recovery and giving voice to what matters most to people. And this has really led to a bit of a paradigm shift in our field. We've developed a person-centered framework of recovery that brings to light things that were not previously talked about or addressed in our field. It also emphasizes strength and harnessing resilience. So it's a departure from many deficit-based models which have dominated our field for many years. Here again, we're developing resilience-based clinical guidelines. I mentioned stigma at the beginning, so it kind of makes sense we focus on that too. We have understood now the impacts of stigma, the various manifestations of stigma, as well as what we can do about it. Part of that is participatory-based methods to involve people and give them a voice and empower them to make a difference. So we have several short projects related to that now. We've also developed a special interest group, which is a composition of people worldwide who are looking at how we can best understand self-injury experiences and other mental health experiences amongst people across different cultures, and also explore and understand the aspect of stigma in these contexts. So that's my program. Where do I see us going? I'm a bit of an utopian when it comes to these kinds of things. I think we can do a lot. I think by virtue of looking at the internet, we can have a greater reach and greater accessibility to good quality research-informed resources to individuals who really need them. Through recovery, through participatory-based methods like participatory video, I think we can foster more recovery-based narratives and therefore instill a sense of hope in people who really need it. We can also extend our framework to other areas, which we're now doing. We've now developed a framework on lived experience for eating disorders, as an example. We are in a good position, I think, to elevate the well-being of students in educational settings, so we're doing a lot of work here too. And I think we can address stigma. This is a multifaceted problem, but I think we have a number of ways we can go about doing this. And part of that is involving people with lived experience in that solution. We're doing this now in the area of self-injury, but also other areas of mental health and mental illness. And with that, I'm exactly at 6 minutes. I thank you for your time.